My guest today on Entre Nous is known as the American Love Coach in Paris. She has helped hundreds of women let go of toxic relationships, heal from breakups, learn a new way to date, and finally get the love they want. She's also the author of the new memoir, You Had Me at Bonjour. Dufflyn Lammers, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you have described your book as a story of impossible love that actually worked out. Why was it so impossible?
When I met Benjamin, I was a 40-something failed actress with a pretty bad track record in love. And here comes this handsome, charming Frenchman. He's 7 years younger. He's 18 months sober from heroin. He's on probation for carjacking. We live 6,000 miles away from each other, and we don't speak the same language. So how is this going to work out? But the year before, I had written a bucket list. And on my bucket list, I said, I wanted to live in another country for a year. I wanted to speak another language, and I wanted to get married. So how could I not be curious? It was either going to be the love of my life or my most dangerous fantasy yet.
How long ago was that? How many years have you been together?
12 years now.
Wow, congratulations. Well, interesting 12. You were single for 12 years before you met Benjamin. 12 years is a long time. Obviously, you work as a love coach now. In retrospect, what was blocking you from finding someone during that time?
It's funny because I hear this from my clients a lot now. I was choosing unavailable people. And at a certain point, I realized that I was the one who was unavailable because the choosing unavailable people was actually a way of protecting myself. So once I realized that, then I was able to do the work to heal it so that I could become more available, and things changed.
So would you say that was the biggest lesson you learned from that time, was just figuring out what was up with you?
Partly, I think at a certain point I realized, someone said to me, give what you want. And so I started just sending letters, like love letters to my friends. I sent one to my dad where I was like, thanks for, teaching me to ride a bike, and thanks for blowing on my scraped knees. And he passed about a year and a half ago. And I was just so grateful that I had done that, because when you give love, you have love.
Your story is a real inspiring one for a lot of people out there, because you were still single after 40. A lot of people think when they're older, dating is impossible, if not impossible, very hard. Do you have any tips for people who are dating later in life?
Yeah, I think by the time we're in our 40s, we know a little bit more about who we are and what we want. We're more established in life. We have a career. We might even have children. So I think at that point, take a risk. Right? I think it's okay to push yourself a little bit and take a risk. I'm not saying don't have standards, but I'm saying trust your standards and be willing to jump out there a little bit.
And another interesting part of your story, which is something that you work with as well with some of your clients, is that both you and Benjamin met when you were both recovering from addiction. What are the challenges when you're trying to stay sober while dating?
Yeah, I think that can be challenging. I remember being on the apps and having a guy just completely ghost me when I told him that I didn't drink. So if someone is sober and they're dating, a lot of times what I recommend is bookending dates so that you have a call with someone who's on a similar path before and afterwards for accountability, knowing some kind of a drink that you love so that you kind of have a go-to thing so you're not making those decisions in the moment. There's lots of tricks like that you can learn along the way.
And 3 years after you met Benjamin, you decided to pick up and leave your life in the States to move here to Paris. I mean, we talk a lot about the cultural clashes we can have when we move to a new country. What for you was the hardest part about that move?
Leaving behind my family and friends, without a doubt. And I still go home twice a year, and I call my mom every Sunday, which is not that different from when I was living, 1,000 miles away versus 6,000 in the end.
Tell me a bit more about your work as a love coach. How did you establish that, and what would you say is your one key piece of advice for people?
My one key piece of advice for everyone really is just slow down. Just slow down. If things go well, you may not pass this way again. So enjoy the process of falling in love. It takes a long time to get to know people and to get to know yourself. So take the time.
And tell us about your work. What exactly do you do, and how do you help people?
So my training is in Tantra, addiction, and attachment repair, and I sort of combine all of these things in my own special way. A lot of what I do is based in attachment repair. Essentially, attachment theory is the way that we were loved as children is the way that we love as adults. And if we didn't get what we needed, oftentimes we're looking for that in a relationship. And the idea is to heal that so that you come to the relationship whole and not looking for someone to complete you, but actually coming from a secure, solid place yourself.
And of course, you're American, your husband now is French. The two styles of being in a relationship are very different. Why are they so different, and what's the key to moving forward in an intercultural relationship?
Yeah, I think that's so interesting. I listen, in America, our attitude is anything is possible. And in France, you'll hear again, c'est pas possible, right? And so this is a fundamental worldview difference. I think what that comes down to is values. In the United States, we value freedom above all else. And in France, we value tradition. So understanding the values of the other country is going to be really, really important if you're going to make things work.
Dufflyn, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. Dufflyn Lammers, the American love coach in Paris. Your book is out now. It is called You Had Me at Bonjour. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jeannie.
And don't forget, if you want to check out more Entre Nous, you can always do that on our website, france24.com.